All right, y'all. We are live now. This is first time doing this, so this will kind of be a test run for me. Using the laptop and the new webcam here. All right, looks like we got 2 people on now. 4 people. Can y'all hear me all right out there and see me okay and everything? I know I don't have a great backdrop going and all that right now, but hopefully if I start getting into more live stream stuff, then I'll get a more of a studio setup and a better backdrop. Yeah, Joanne, we just got the goat today. It is a bottle baby, and the person that we got it from has a goat farm, and they use the goats for milking and making all kind of stuff, soap and everything off of that. So when they have their goats kid, they go ahead and pull them off and bottle feed them from there on. So it's one of those deals. So right now they got her doing 3 feedings a day instead of 4. So hopefully in about a month or a few more weeks or something, then it'll cut back down to just 2 feedings, one in the morning, one in the evening and stuff. So from then on it'll start growing normally, hopefully, and everything will be good. Feeding it regular feed and whatnot. But anyway, it's a pretty cute little goat, and it's definitely friendly. Their farm, they have some kids too, so they're they get spoiled just like ours will. Yep. So anything y'all want to talk about? Any questions you got? This particular goat is a dairy goat. We're going to use her for milk. We have a goat now that is a dairy breed, but she's not giving any milk because she hasn't kidded in a while. So that's mainly what we're getting this one for, and we're going to try to get 1 or 2 more for milk. And if that goes good and everything, then we may end up start making different things out of it, like cheese and soaps and stuff too. Um, it seems like that the goats are easier to deal with than like milking cows are, because they definitely eat a lot more and take up a lot more space in the pasture. And it seems to be easier to deal with the goats right now. And personally, I like the goat milk better than the cow milk. Actually, it's not as heavy on your stomach as it feels like to me. But right now we have one dairy breed goat, but like I said, she's not giving milk. And we have this baby goat we just got, and the other ones are meat goat, which we had one of them was pregnant, but she ended up miscarrying for whatever reason. She lost it really early. But anyway, we hadn't had any of them kid yet for us, and I haven't tried any goat meat yet, but I want to do that too. And I'm sure I'll find a way that I'll like it and stuff. So it'll be another meat source on the homestead, and I want to learn how to butcher them myself, just like we did the hogs this year, and kind of be more self-sufficient in that aspect. This was the first year that we butchered our hogs. The ones we had before, we took to a slaughterhouse, but this year, with everything being crazy with the pandemic and everything, we couldn't find anybody that would do it. And we found one slaughterhouse, but they ended up just having an outrageous price. They told us for the ones that we had our size, that they were going to charge about, I think it was over 400. It was like 425 or $450 per hog to process them. And we just said, no, nah, we ain't doing that. We'll figure it out. So that was kind of crazy. And I can also understand it if they were going to do it and vacuum pack all of it and slice all the meat and grind the sausage and all that kind of stuff. But what we were going to do was just get them to process the sausage, grind it, and mix it and all that. And, cut the pork chops up and things like that. But all the ham and fat back and side meat and stuff, we were going to just bring that home and put it in the salt box and hang it up and smoke it like we did here. So, it was basically just, slaughtering and cutting the meat out. And then we were going to bring it home and do the rest of the work. So that was just too much money for just doing that. But luckily, we have a good friend here in the neighborhood that's done a lot of them. And he came by and helped us with the first three of them, and the last one we did by ourselves. And yeah, Joanne, they definitely do eat a lot of the weeds and briars and stuff like that. So that's kind of cool. We have a lot of wild blackberry bushes here and things like that, so they can dine out on that like a buffet. And how you doing, South Florida, DCL? How's the weather up there? Down here, we had a lot of ice and stuff like that over the weekend, and we lost power for like 2.5 days, something like that. Just crazy weather. I don't like winter. I hate cold and snow and rain and all that. So I was really hoping that we were going to skate by this year without getting any snow or major storms or anything like that. 68 and cloudy. Yeah, I'd like to have that temperatures now. Today we've been in the upper 30s most of the day. It's supposed to be cold again in the morning. It's supposed to be down in the 20s or whatever. And then Thursday, we're supposed to have another ice storm coming through and getting ready and prepared for that. So we'll see what happens. They're saying that this one is actually going to be worse than the one we just had. And also, there's still some people around here that don't have power. So, it's a lot of trees down still, a lot of power lines still in the road and things like that. So if we get hammered again Thursday on top of that, then it really is going to be a mess. Joanne in Georgia. I'm sure it's pretty nice up there. So far the seedlings are doing pretty good. In the greenhouse, I'm having some trouble with a lot of stuff coming up, and I think maybe it's the quality of seeds that I got, because I hadn't really stocked up on like good quality seeds from Gurney's or Burpees or somewhere like that. I got some from Walmart and Dollar Tree and stuff like that, but I have a couple tomato plants that's doing pretty good. And one of them has a bloom on it now, so hopefully it won't be long. I'll have a tomato on that thing. And I'm really looking forward to the first fresh greenhouse tomato. Michael Free, Northern Michigan. Only a couple inches of snow. Yeah, the other week, probably 2 weeks ago now or so, we had our first snow in a while, actually probably in a couple years now. We had about 4 inches, something like that, in my area. And for around here, that's a pretty good amount. But honestly, the snow didn't disrupt as much as the ice has. We didn't lose power at all then, and I don't think it was but a few outages around here due to that. But the ice really came through and you know, put a hurting on everybody in this area. Shorty in California. Yeah, I've always heard that California is nice. I've never been myself, but I have a couple of buddies that usually go out there every year, and they really like it out there. It's really nice weather, and they enjoy that. Yeah, 70s by the end of the week. That's what I'm talking about. I like the warm weather. Usually around here in this area, we're in Virginia, and we have a lot of heat and humidity in the summertime. Um, a lot of times it'll be upper 80s or in the 90s, but just the heat index would be like 105 a lot. And um, it's hot, but honestly, I can take the heat better than I can the cold. But that's my opinion, just like everybody else's. It differs, but I'm definitely a warm weather person. I like summertime for a few reasons. One thing, you can plant, the garden will grow in the summer. Sometimes the heat will get to your plants, but my garden is kind of in a spot where I have good sunlight throughout the day. But in the hot part of the day, it starts going around the trees, and I get a lot of shade. So it kind of keeps from burning everything up. Also, working outside, logging and equipment and stuff like that. A lot of times this time of year, I mean, the equipment just doesn't want to crank and it doesn't want to run. A lot of times you got to jump stuff, get it going. We've had a lot of trouble with fuel freezing up and having to change fuel filters and put in like water treatment things and stuff like that just to try to get a day's work in. So, not a fan of that. All right. So Joanne says, what's been the most difficult thing about homesteading to date? Um, Honestly, I'm gonna say time and money, really, because I've said before in some of my videos that we didn't have any of this last year at this time. I think it was about March when we added the chickens, and that's what we started with. And we were planning on doing some homestead stuff. I've been prepping for a little bit, but was just getting into homestead and stuff this year, getting the chickens from a friend of mine, stuff like that. And then basically the whole world just blew up and went crazy. So we figured we better step the game up. So we planted our garden again this year, which we hadn't done. I have 3 kids, and that'll wear on you. That's how I got a few of these gray hairs here. But yeah, we used to have a garden before, and then when the babies come along, we kind of stepped back for a couple of years, but we got back into it this year. And it was a lot of times, me and my wife both have full-time jobs, so we do that. And then when you get home, you have homestead and stuff to do, all the animals and garden and stuff. So a lot of times we were out there picking, stuff out of the garden with flashlights and staying up half the night canning and stuff. And we had one canner starting this year. We got a couple of more now, so that was a big time consuming thing there. We had honestly our string beans, green beans, which we call them snaps around here. They produce the best out of anything. We had 6 relatively short rows. They're probably 10 foot long, maybe 12 foot or something like that. I didn't really measure them, but we had 6 rows, and we got 114 quarts that we canned out of it. And we gave, a couple of, grocery bags plumb full away to people that we didn't can. I mean, they really put out, and we had that one canner, so we do quart jars. You could only put 7 in there at a time. And, a lot of times when we picked, beans and stuff, it would be 2 5-gallon buckets full. So you would have, you know, 21 quarts or more to do or something like that. So now being able to run 2 canners at a time will definitely speed up the process on that. And South Florida DCL. What's your opinion on the Second Amendment? Well, my opinion on it is quite a bit different than our current president's, uh, to say the least. But anyway, I'm all for that. As a matter of fact, I would like to own a tank, but so far I don't have that ability. But I believe you should be able to. And Joanne, 3 kids, all girls. Feel you there. That's what I got. All girls, um, from 5 down to uh, will be 2 in June. And I tell you what, they're wild. Um, Everybody says that boys are so rough and so hard to keep alive and all this kind of stuff, but I really believe that the girls I got could give them a run for their money. But that's another reason that we really wanted to get into the homesteading this year. With everything going crazy too, we figured it'd be a good opportunity. But I grew up on a small farm. My mom and dad had cows, and I had some chickens when I was a kid, and we raised some hogs and things like that. And I grew up on gardens. I always liked to garden ever since I was a kid. You know, when I was 6 or 7 years old, I would have my own little garden beds out in the yard, and I grow all kind of stuff. I really like tomatoes and cucumbers and potatoes and things, and strawberry plants and stuff. And I used to do that when I was a kid. Um, Even out and playing in the yard, younger than that, with trucks and cars and bulldozers and stuff. They always had a hard time mowing the grass because I would go out there and basically dig up the yard with that bulldozer and make different roads and things like that. And I made some little garden beds out there, and I had a little truck that I'd haul my water on to water it and stuff. And I grew up that way. Yeah, Shorty, I see you there. Boy and a girl teaching them how to work the gardens and care for the animals. And yeah, I really believe that that's a very good thing to do. That's what we're trying to do with ours, because one day they may need these skills, but even if they don't, I still think it's a good thing. It gives a lot of values to them, and it teaches them a lot of responsibility, having to care for something, and they enjoy it. Mine do. Mine love it. Just like the little goat, they're tickled to death with that thing, and the chickens and stuff. Especially my youngest. My youngest, the baby, is definitely her deal is the chickens. That was one of her first words. But yeah, um, trying to teach them to work and be responsible and not be looking for somebody to support you for a handout or having to rely on somebody. Um, they are girls, and I want them to grow up and, of course, one day get married and all that stuff. But I want them to be okay by themselves. I don't want them to have to rely on a man. I want them to be able to fend for themselves and stand on their own 2 legs. You know what I mean? Yeah, helping with the chickens is their favorite thing. Yep, that's for sure. That's definitely how mine is. They really like the rabbits too. We added rabbits a couple of weeks, maybe a month ago now or something, and we're actually going to get some more. NWA Prepper, how you doing, buddy? Hopefully you've been doing all right here lately. But yeah, appreciate y'all hopping on here and checking it out and chatting and stuff. I've been wanting to live stream for a little bit now, but I wasn't quite sure if I could do it without having like 1,000 subscribers or something. But apparently I can, so that's kind of cool. Yeah, so far the live stream's going pretty good. I'm enjoying it. Um, I like to talk every now and then, so but yeah, I'm doing this on the laptop. I got a webcam because honestly, the camera that comes on here from the factory is just crap. You know, it's real splotchy and things like that. So I got a webcam here, and I wanted to do it on here instead of the phone so I can see the chats a little bit better. You know, so anyway, like I said, after I get a little more comfortable with this and stuff, I'm gonna try to get me a little studio area set up where the lighting's a little bit better and things like that. But hopefully the sound quality is pretty good. This webcam has a built-in mic on it and things. But yeah, HOA won't allow chickens. Yep, they definitely are emotional support animals. They I've seen different ads online like wish.com and stuff. You can get a little harness to put on your chicken where you can walk it like a dog, so that's pretty cool. I haven't got one of those yet. Appreciate it, Joanne. I was hoping, I don't know a lot about computer stuff and webcams and stuff like that, but I went to Best Buy and this seemed like a pretty decent one, so I went ahead and grabbed it and figured I'd try it out. Wow, 200 chickens. I haven't quite got that many yet, but I'm working on it anyway. One of the best things I got, we tried letting our chickens sit on the eggs and hatch them naturally. And sometimes they would, sometimes they wouldn't, and different things like that. But we got a pretty nice incubator. It has the heat and thermostat where it doesn't get too hot or too cold, and it has the egg turner in there and everything. But we've had really good luck with that. We've hatched out about 3 or 4 batches out of that thing. Yep, that's right, NWA. Um, I would like to see somebody with that harness just out in the park or something like that, just walking their chicken. That would be pretty cool. But anyway, um, like I said, I really like chickens. They're one of my favorite things on the homestead because like rabbits and hogs and stuff like that, they doesn't really benefit you anyway until you butcher them to be able to eat them. Where chickens lay eggs and stuff, so you can still be they'll still be feeding you while they're still alive. So that's a big benefit, I think. But I haven't got into ducks or anything like that. Some people like the duck eggs better than they do chicken eggs, but I've never tried that yet. But a buddy of mine just got an emu egg. He's going to try to hatch. He's got it in an incubator and stuff. It's fertilized and all that kind of stuff. So that would be pretty wild. I've never had any dealings with emus, but he showed me a picture of them, and the way they look when they're little and stuff, they're striped like a zebra. So that's pretty cool. So far around here, we haven't had any trouble getting any of the feed for the animals. Have any of y'all had any trouble with that? Any shortages or anything? All right, Shorty. What is fermented feed? I'm not quite sure what that is. But our chickens haven't been laying as many eggs as I think they ought to. Um, one thing, it's been really cold, and mine have went through molting recently and everything. But uh, somebody told me that I've been feeding them the laying mash from the feed store and all, but they hadn't really been producing much. But they told me to use the mixed feed like I use for the feeding the hogs, is corn and grain and all that in it, that it had more protein. And I switched to that, and I actually started getting more eggs. And I had a buddy of mine that was having the same issue, and he switched to that too. And they started laying again for him too. All right, so pretty much no shortages on it. Yeah, Joanne, canning stuff is really hard to come by. Um, we tried to stock up last year of what we could find, and we had a bunch of people that were older and relatives and neighbors and stuff like that that in like their 70s and stuff, like my grandma and stuff, and they're not going for with the can and stuff anymore. So they gave us a bunch of jars and rings and a few lids, but mainly the jars and stuff. So we've been, we tried to find the lids and all that, but a buddy of mine, I had never heard of him until then, but anyway, he ordered me some of the Tattler brands, Tattler. I think I did a video on that not too long ago, but they're resealable. The lid is plastic and it has a gasket on it, and you put it on and can it. And then next time you flip the gasket over and use the other side where it keeps it uniform. But they're supposed to last for a long time. So that may be something you want to look into. Okay, so you soak the feed for 3 days before feeding it. Huh. I might have to try that. That sounds pretty cool. But like I was saying, that mixed feed that we're using now, it's a lot cheaper because it's like $14 a bag, but it's 100-pound bag instead of the like 25-pound bags that the normal chicken food came in. Uh, Joanne, so far I like them. I haven't we haven't used a bunch of them so far. We're planning to this year when the garden comes in, or if we get enough stuff out of the greenhouse to can and everything. But they're pretty interesting. They're a little bit different than the metal lids. It takes some getting used to. Like I said, you put them on there and barely tighten the ring, and then you run it through the canner, and then when you take it, when your pressure comes off and all that, you take it out, and you got to wait for it to quit boiling in your jar, and then that's when you tighten it up all the way. Where, mommy, dad? Right there. A mealworm farm. That sounds cool. I haven't given any of our chickens mealworms yet. We do give them a lot of scraps out of the house and stuff. Uh, from whatever's left over from supper, potatoes and tomatoes and cucumbers and whatever like that. They really enjoy that. We did give it to the hogs and stuff, but now that they're gone, the chickens are kind of enjoying that benefit. Sounds good, NWA. Have a good night, get you some rest, and uh, get ready for some more prepping tomorrow. Appreciate you coming on here, and we'll see you later. All right, Joanne. I hadn't made a video on it on the compost deal. I've started one this year, and with all the pot and soil that I've had to buy for the greenhouse projects and stuff, I wish I'd have started one a couple years ago. But I'm pretty new to it. I don't know everything about it. But so far, I've took a bunch of debris, old corn stalks, and different weeds around and stuff like that, and um, like pine needles on the ground, stuff like that. All of our old shavings that we clean out of the chicken pens and the goat pens, and old hay and stuff like that. And we've been piling that up. I hadn't built a bin or anything. I just got it out there, and I got it covered with a tarp, and take and turn it and stuff every so often, and I'll go out there and water it down if it's too dry and stuff. But I wish I'd started it a few years ago. It would have definitely been a lot cheaper on me with all the greenhouse stuff and beds and stuff we're going to do now. But I also started a tub for worms to compost. I hadn't ordered them yet. They have a special breed of composting worms. But so far, I just put some regular earthworms that we've got around here. I found under stuff and things like that in there. And what I did, I watched some videos on. You take a tote, like a plastic tote, and drill a bunch of holes in it, and then you put some dirt in there, and then you put your compost and stuff like coffee grounds and um, old fruit and things like that, and maybe some more dirt and stuff like that, and you put a bunch of worms in there, and they eat all that stuff, and then they turn it into compost. So it seemed like a cool idea, not a lot of hassle, not a lot of money in it. So I did it, and I had it outside, but it's been so cold. I just took the tub and put it in the greenhouse, and hopefully keep them a little warmer. They'll be a little more productive. But I'm gonna try to look into ordering the actual compost and worms sometime soon, and get that going. But yeah, Joanne, definitely the pot and soil stuff is expensive. Um, I haven't had any trouble at the bigger stores like Home Depot or Lowe's or anything like that finding it, but our local store, is like 10 minutes away. A little small farm store and everything. They had trouble getting in the Miracle Grow brand. They had some off-brand cheaper stuff, which was definitely not as good a quality. It wasn't as powdery. It was more like a mulch type deal. But the bigger stores still had Miracle Grow and stuff, but they had a hard time ordering that in. So I thought that was pretty interesting anyway, something to take note of. Also, that's usually where we buy our seeds for the garden. I'm working on doing all heirloom stuff in the greenhouse, especially where it's controlled. So you don't have wind or cross pollination as much in there to worry about. So I want to try saving the seeds and things like that, and having my own seeds and crop and stuff year after year. But in the regular garden, we just do hybrid where it, grows fast and uh, puts out a good yield and stuff like that. So down at this farm store, they're starting to get seeds in now, and I went ahead and put in an order with them. I want so much of this and so much of that when it comes in, so they'll hold it for me. And they've also been getting in the canning stuff, some jars and stuff, and the lids. So I've been buying a couple of packs of lids every time I go in there just to stay stocked up on it and things like that. Another thing I found interesting around here, like I said, at that farm store and at our grocery store, they have some canned stuff too, is coming in. But the only lids I can find are wide mouth. I haven't seen anywhere that had any of the regular jar lids. So I thought that was pretty weird. But I don't know. Maybe they'll come in later towards the season and stuff like that. Another thing this year, we had kind of a hard time finding the seasonings for our sausage mix when we butchered the hogs and stuff. We had to call around and order around and go to a bunch of different places to get our seasoning for the sausage. this was the first time doing it ourselves, and with everything this year, I don't know if that's a normal amount that that time of year everybody's just killing hogs at the same time, or whether it's just a shortage. So you've seen that too. Yeah, I don't know why it's just the wide mouth stuff coming in and not the regular, which I have some of both, so, but that is pretty weird. Another thing I started getting into, um, I made a video, but I don't think I've posted it yet, but the vacuum sealing in mason jars, which I happen to have one right here with rice, and this is a regular, but instead of putting it in Mylar bags and stuff like that, you could put an oxygen absorber in here too and help to keep moisture or whatever out. But I ordered the attachments for the food saver, and you can do it that way. But it takes a long time for the vacuum process, and then it tries to run the sealer and tube. But I cut mine off instead of running the sealer doing that. But I watched a video and they done it with a brake bleeder. So I got one of them and I actually like that better. It seals better pumping it up like that. And also, it's not as much wear and tear on your vacuum sealer. But for this lid here, as you can see, it's been wrote on. This is one that we pressure can stuff in. And I started saving those lids now and washing and cleaning them up because you may not want to trust them again pressure canning, but vacuum sealing, it's fine. I haven't had any trouble with them losing seal using them on jars for the vacuum sealing. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And, I like that, being able to reuse them and not having to, just throw them away, not having a use for them. So that's something I'll start doing now is keeping them. I did put rice in there, and you can put beans and stuff. And another thing too, I put like open seed packets that I got that I hadn't sown all the seeds and stuff. I left them in the paper packet, but I put them in a jar and sealed the lid on it to, keep air out, and you can set it in your refrigerator or something like that to keep them cool, or dry place or anything like that. But cool thing is, you can, pop the top and reseal it however many times you want. It only takes a minute or so pumping that thing back, and it's, completely off grid. You don't have to have power, and it's not wear and tear on your vacuum sealer, or wear and tear on the accessories, or the, jar, or anything like that. However many, like even this here, say you wanted to use some of this rice, you pop the top and use what you need, put it back and seal it again, and you're good to go. It may not be, as good as sealing it one time and not touching it, and you will have, less air in there with the jar practically full versus if you use half of it or something. But I mean, it is an option. It is something you can do. Yeah, Michael, vacuum sealer is really nice. We've used it a lot with the garden and the hog meat and stuff like that. They make all kind of accessories, but so far the only thing we got was just these jar sealers recently, and the dehydrator. I've got a small one, it's a Presto, the round type, that I dehydrate a lot of the peppers and apples and stuff like that out of. But I'd like to have one of the nicer, more controlled ones with a thermostat and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, Joanne, it was just a Food Saver brand vacuum sealer, the kind that has the accessory port on it where you can plug the hose in, and they make like Tupperware containers that you can vacuum seal, and then the jar thing. And I'm not even sure what all else you can do with it, but the brake bleeder, I got it at O'Reilly's. You can it was kind of expensive there because it's got a bunch of accessories with it that I don't need, but it was just in the local area. If you went somewhere cheaper like Harbor Freight, you could probably pick one up, I don't know, 20, $30, maybe something like that, and do just as good. All right, Shorty. Appreciate you stopping in. Uh, Hopefully you had a good time and good night. Get you some rest, and we'll catch you later. But yeah, Michael, it's definitely a prep item that I suggest, especially now since it's starting to come in season. You'll see them around a little bit, but jars is something that you can never have too many of. They do take up some space if you're like storing them and stuff, but um, unless one gets a crack or you drop and break it, it'll last forever. Um, we've had a couple of jars that were given to us by some of these older folks that ended up, we washed and cleaned them up. They did have a chip around the top, where the lid seals and everything. Um, but we still used them, not canning. But if you get the screw on top, like plastic lids and stuff, if you put something that you use a lot, like, uh, a jar of rice that you're going to use pretty soon, or beans or something there to things like that, you can put it on there and still be able to use the jar and get some kind of benefit out of it. But yeah, I have a dehydrator. Like I said, it's a small one and everything. I want to try to make some jerky out of it. I haven't made any homemade jerky yet, so that's another thing I want to get into sometime pretty soon. I really like the apple and bananas dehydrated. Kind of like a chip, but a lot more healthy. And probably my favorite would be the bananas. But we dehydrated some of the peppers and stuff like that too. So it's pretty cool. That's good. Um, I've got a buddy of mine that's got the same dehydrator that I do, and he's made jerky out of it and everything. I'm not sure exactly how he done it. I've watched some videos, and there's a bunch of different ways and different mixtures for your sauce and stuff like that. But I hadn't got into it far enough. Yeah, um, learning how to can is a good skill. Um, my wife grew up canning and stuff like that. She usually handled all that, but this year she ended up teaching me how to do it too. So if she's not around or whatever, I can go ahead and keep the process moving and things like that. So it's actually pretty easy once you get used to it. Pretty enjoyable. Um, I got an old canner. It's I don't know, probably back in the '60s or something. All American. I think it's All American Queen or American Queen is on it, but it was made for All American canners, like when they first came out and stuff. And it was in pretty bad shape. My mama had it. Somebody gave it to her, and it had been sitting in the shed for a long time. A lot of dust and a little bit of rust and things like that. But I ended up restoring it, and that's actually my favorite one to use. I like it because you don't have to have that rubber gasket. It just seals by the metal and those clamps, so it's more long term and things like that. But it doesn't have like the jiggling weight on it to get to a certain pressure and stay around that. But it has the gauge and all, so you have to kind of monitor your heat and turn it back as it gets too much pressure. But other than that, I like it pretty good. It does a good job. Cinnamon on dehydrated apple. Yeah, I hadn't tried that, but it does sound good there. Joanne, finding my biggest hurdle is me not wanting to fail at growing and canning. Um, Honestly, I know how that is. I get that way sometimes, but don't let that stop you. Just give it a try. Go in head first. And um, I've screwed up a lot, honestly. The greenhouse was a big learning curve. I've lost a bunch of stuff in there from inexperience, really. From when we first built it, we had the electric space heater in there. And then when it got really cold, it couldn't keep up. So some of the plants froze and we had to restart. And then when it got really cold, I put a buddy heater, propane heater in there to help. And, it worked out all right, but it wasn't ideal. So we ended up getting an actual wall propane heater and tying it into our tank. And now it keeps it pretty good in there. I need to find a way to like get a self-opening vent type deal going in there. So when it gets like the days that it's warm, like 50 degrees and sun shining outside, it'll be 100 degrees in the greenhouse. And of course, the heater's not on, then it cuts itself off. It usually stays around 60 or so in there. I think it cuts off at about 65 or something. But anyway, they'll still get too hot in there if you're not here to open the door and run a fan or something. So I need to put a vent in there for when it starts warming back up again, which hopefully is around the corner, but we'll see. So I've had some trouble with that. Like I said, just try it. The canning deal, basically, the easiest thing I know of to can pressure canning would be something like green beans or potatoes or something like that. And, just take your time and give it a try. If you got a pressure canner, like the potatoes and stuff, you can just get them from the store if you want to practice now. What we did was just take and, wash them and peel them and cut them up in either rounds or in wedges or chunks or however you want to do it. And then you put, let's see, what is it? 1 teaspoon of salt in a quart. Yeah, 1 teaspoon of salt in a quart jar and a half in a pint. And put your potatoes or whatever in there. And you want to leave that head space about 1 inch, they say. And usually a good rule of thumb is just where the jar comes up and it starts meeting that bottom ring. If you leave it open from there, where you have these parts open, we haven't had a problem with it doing it that way. And if you do these metal lids here, some people boil them. You put these in a pot and boil it on the stove. But what we do, our hot water heater gets really hot. So we'll just put it in a bowl of hot water, or you can even heat it a little bit on the stove or whatever you want to do. But just some hot water in there until you're ready to put it on here. And you fill your jar up with potatoes or whatever you want to can. And then you want to make sure you take a rag and wipe the edge of the glass jar there. Pretend the lid ain't on and just clean that where it has a good clean surface to seal to. And then when you take your lid out of the hot water that you got it in, I'll take and wipe it off too. And then you just set it on a jar and take your metal band and tighten it down. Don't over tighten it, they say. Which really, I haven't had a trouble with over tightening. It's just harder to get it back off afterwards. But put it on there, pretty snug. Hold it in one hand, give it a good snug down, and put it in your canner, and away you go. What do we can our quartz? 30 minutes when it comes up to pressure. Yeah, on the quartz, right? Yeah, on the quartz, 25 to 30 minutes when it comes up to pressure and your thing starts jingling, or if you're using one with a gauge, if you get up to like 10, 12 pounds and just go like 30 minutes from there. And then after that, cut your oven off and then just let it cool down and the pressure release naturally, and then you should be good to go. Joanne, will she make videos too? She's on some of them. I've been on her for probably a week now to have another sit down and uh, make a video and kind of get some of her thoughts and opinions. We have a homestead thoughts and opinions video we made a while back, probably a couple of months or so. So it's down in the archives. But yeah, I see you watch hours of videos but still feel inadequate. I know what you mean. I still watch a lot of videos on different subjects that I want to get into, but again, it just comes to that point where you just got to do it, trial by fire. Just jump in and go for it. I'm not saying to do anything dangerous or anything like that, but uh, don't be afraid to try it. I mean, it's been a lot of stuff that I've done here on the homestead that seemed like a good idea at first, but ended up failing. So I had to go back to the drawing board and do some rebuilding, situating, and things like that. When I built the chicken pen, we built on probably 3 or 4 times now. So it's not the prettiest thing in the world, but so far it's working. But the last part I built on, I had a like a cattle gate, and I wrapped it with wire and stuff. But that thing was really a pain to get in and out. It didn't want to open and close right, and it was hanging on wire, and you had to duck down to get in and stuff. So finally, I just said enough with that and built me a little doorway coming in there. Not the prettiest thing in the world, but hey, so far it's working. So. Canning carrots, Corey. Yeah, I haven't canned any carrots yet. We planted some in the greenhouse, and I'm hoping that they'll come up and produce and stuff because I definitely want to do some of that too. Dehydrated pineapple. I haven't tried that, but it does sound pretty good. Yeah, I hear you, Michael. Green beans definitely did very good for us. So far, last year was a good year, but every year we've ever planted them has been good. Maybe it's just our area or the soil or something, but they usually do pretty good. Our tomatoes last year were terrible. We just had so much rain, I think, is really what got them because, I mean, you would try to go out there, and as soon as they start turning red, pick them and let them ripen up in the house. But a lot of times you would just get that 2 inches downpour and it would just bust them wide open. And I think that was a lot of the issue last year. And um, our first batch of corn that we planted didn't do very good either. It was really small stalks and ears, and half of them didn't produce anything. But the second batch that I planted later on, it did really good. So I don't know if maybe I planted them too early or just the way the weather was or what. But that's another thing I like to do is have a separate garden spot for a late garden type of deal, to have some more corn and tomatoes and things like that. That's really all we plant for a later crop. But um, even my late tomatoes did way better than the first batch that I planted. So I don't know if it's weather to do with it or just planted them too early and they were like stunted growing or something. So yeah, Joanne, I'll definitely get her on here sometime. Um, she's kind of camera shy. All right, Corey, appreciate you coming on here. and good night to you. Probably just a few more minutes. I'm going to call it a night too. I wasn't planning on going this long, but y'all hopped on and chatting and stuff, so I kept on going. I thought it was pretty enjoyable. Like I said, this is the first time doing live. Um, Earlier today at the woods, it's been so wet. It's been too wet to cut, so we just been loading up what we got laying around the loader. And I tried to go live on Instagram there, but it wasn't really working out. I don't think I had good enough signal there to pull live. So then when I came home today, we had a bunch of stuff to do. We had to go get that goat and different other homestead stuff, so I didn't get to go live there. So I figured I'd try it out tonight. And I was on like a co-stream with Grim Survival not too long ago, a couple weeks or something like that. And that was really cool. I really enjoyed it. And I'm planning on being on some more. I believe I'm going to be on Prepper Nation's Shogun this Saturday, 9 o'clock. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. So far, that'll be, I did the first live. I was on the Asylum on Prepper Nation a couple weeks, maybe a month ago now, something like that. But that was pretty fun and kind of dipped my toes in the water on that. And then I was on Grimm's and I really enjoyed that. So I'm looking forward to doing more live type stuff. But yeah, another thing I hadn't really made videos on, but I have some apple trees planted. I want to get an orchard going. I think I have about 4 out there, but I want to get some more. I really like things like that. They kind of take care of themselves. I know apple trees can take a lot of maintenance, but you don't have to plant them year after year. You know, you can plant them and basically set it and go and always produce something for you. I'm putting in some grapevines too. Hopefully that'll do pretty good. We have some wild blackberry vines here in the yard last year that we put fertilizer on, and they really did good. I mean, some of the berries would be about as big as your thumb, like a tame when you buy in a store or something. And the other vines around that we didn't put fertilizer on, you know, I mean, they were lucky to be as big as your pinky. So we're going to put that fertilizer on it again this year, and maybe some other vines around. And also, I got a couple of tame vines I'm going to try to get going and beef up the strawberry patch this year. What I'm doing is putting in beds around the greenhouse, and hopefully that'll keep a lot of the weeds down and give them plenty of room to grow and spout off and things like that. So, and I'm going to do around one side, I'm going to do strawberries and then cut it off in the back. And around the other side, I'm going to do blueberries. So hopefully they'll turn out pretty good. This is actually a bag out of the freezer. I don't know if you can see them there, but these are actually the wild berries that we put the fertilizer on, and they're just about as big as what? Oh, these are not fertilized. These are just regular wild ones, but they're still pretty good. Like I said, they're about the size of your pinky or a little bit bigger. But the fertilizer ones, I think we used all them up, but they definitely got a lot bigger, and you know, you definitely got more out of picking them than you did the regular wild ones and stuff. Yeah, we made jam out of it, and that was a bomb. That was actually the first time we've ever made jam, and we figured, hey, we got all these berries and stuff. I didn't do anything with that really, but my wife did. She made that, and that was good. I really enjoyed that, and looking forward to making some more of it this year. All right, catch up on the chat here. Yeah, I appreciate y'all following, and a whole lot of my subscribers did come from Prepper Nation. I definitely appreciate him helping me out on that, and being on the stream this coming Saturday. That's going to be fun. So, yeah, appreciate y'all coming on here and chatting and everything. So good night to you. And Joanne, I'm actually in 7A zone here in Virginia. I'm not entirely sure what all the different zones is. As a matter of fact, I didn't even know what zone I was in until a couple of weeks ago. I looked it up just out of curiosity to kind of get an idea of, what would do good in this area and stuff like that. Because honestly, I grew up kind of, old-fashioned country. The way you plant a garden and the things you planted and stuff like that. It was just growing up with people around having garden and my parents and stuff like that. You just kind of plant what they planted and plant about the same time they did. And I mean, it's just how I grew up doing it. I remember when I was a kid, something I haven't talked about on here yet. I was actually homeschooled from first grade. I did first grade, and then I was homeschooled the rest of the time. Um, different reasons. They didn't really agree with the school system, and I really liked being able to do, a couple hours of schoolwork at home, and then having the rest of the day to do, outside stuff, farm stuff, and all that kind of things. But when I was a kid like that, we had some neighbors up the road that were, friends of the family forever, before I was even born. And they would raise a big garden, and they were kind of elderly and stuff. So they have a hard time getting it in, processing all that. So we would go up there and, help them get their garden in and stuff like that. So, I grew up doing stuff like that ever since, basically I could walk. I was into farm stuff and gardening and stuff like that. So it definitely is a unique experience versus your average kid having to go to school for, basically their entire life like that. You miss out on a lot of stuff. So anyway, I reckon I'm gonna hop off of here in just a minute or so. Got all the kids asleep, and I figured I'd try this live out. So it's honestly getting about my bedtime now. Get up and hit the old work day again tomorrow. It's supposed to be cold, so that'll be fun, I guess. But anyway, appreciate y'all coming on here, and we'll try to do this again sometime. So stay prayed up, prepped up, and strapped up. See ya.